Let's move on to something else that's causing all of us trouble and the government's not really doing anything much about, and that is the cost of living crisis, of course. Here's the Federal Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, today.
People shouldn't anticipate big new measures in the mid-year update next week. But obviously, as we get closer to the budget in May, if there's more that we can do with it, which is consistent with our budget constraints and is right for the economic conditions at the time, then obviously, as we have always said, we're prepared to contemplate it.
More than we can do, Caroline. He's always thinking about handouts and more big government. What he can do is curb government spending to relieve the inflationary pressure, cut back on immigration strongly to reduce that inflationary pressure, and also do something about energy to make it cheaper rather than more expensive.
And Chris, if I can say the dirty P word, productivity, which no one wants to talk about because it's really hard and it's really uncomfortable. But the fact of the matter is, yes, inflation is heading in the right direction, although, you know, core inflation is still stubbornly above 5%. Everyone keeps quoting, you know, the headline number, but you know, for those, you know, more non-discretionary items, that is still sitting above 5% and it is still stubborn. We have got not only federal government spending, but also state government spending. And we've seen plenty of reporting of that in the media where you've got those two layers pumping out cash everywhere. And almost in a sense, you know, I almost feel sorry for the federal government because I feel like the states.
Caroline?
I know. Listen to me, guys. But the state governments are going for gold, and you look at Anastasia Palaszczuk handing out cash left, right, and centre. Well, it all compounds. So you know, Jim Chalmers can talk a big game about budgetary restraint, but if you've got premiers out there who are handing out cash left, right, and centre, it doesn't matter what you say.
Yeah, look, the other factor, of course, as you say, is productivity. It's important. They're only going to make that worse with the big increases in union power. And when you think about the NDIS and what that's doing to the budget, but that's also funneling a lot of cash out to suppliers, undeservedly so, we find in many cases. So that's inflationary as well. And now we're reduced to having warnings from the government and others to the supermarket giants about not putting up prices too much in the lead up to Christmas, which is obviously going to be very, very tough for many families.
100%, Chris. I was talking to an employment lawyer last week about these pending changes that are maybe going to be passed, maybe delayed, and their observation was absolutely terrible for the economy. And on a practical level, I was talking to a friend back in Perth over the weekend who's the mum of a bunch of teenagers. One of them went to try and get a part-time job or a casual job, you know, going into year 12, lots of study, lots of things. This kid was told they have to do a minimum of 15 hours a week. They have to have a cert something or other. It was something like a Macca's job or something like that. Not Macca's specifically, but the kind of job you and I had as kids. You can't do... A year 12 student can't do 15 hours set a week plus training. I mean, this is the idea of the federal government when it comes to, supporting the economy. They are dancing to the tune of the union movement, which represents less than 10% of the Australian workforce. Let's just remind our viewers of that tonight. This union movement, it's the tail, the tiny stub of a docked tail of a dog wagging the entire animal because of ideology. Their policies are a disaster. Mr. Chalmers, respectfully, is out of his depth. He looks like a nervous schoolboy every time he fronts a camera because he doesn't have the answers and the economy is showing it.